Australian sports and entertainment broadcaster Eddie McGuire has dropped out of a scheduled broadcast after widespread condemnation of his comments aimed at Aussie Rules team Sydney Swans ambassador, plane crash survivor Cynthia Banham. Out of respect for Cynthia Banham and the Sydney Swans, I have requested not to call today's game between Essendon and St Kilda, McGuire has said in a statement in which he apologised further for mocking Banham's coin toss before Sydney's Friday night game against Adelaide. Scott Barber, Getty Image said Eddie McGuire looks on during the Round 2 AFL match between the Geelong Cats and the Fremantle Dockers at Simonds Stadium on April 12, 2015 in Geelong, Australia. I am deeply sorry and regretful for the comments I made last night about the coin-tossing system, McGuire said on Saturday. I should never have spoken without properly viewing the footage. I unreservedly apologise to Cynthia, her family and the Sydney Football Club for the pain and hurt that my comments have caused. Read more. Collingwood board backs Eddie McGuire in row, but he gets rebuke from Aussie P less than Collingwood major sponsor, hugely unhappy over Eddie McGuire comments. Eddie McGuire's ice pool attack took me back to the bad old days. Eddie McGuire reporter drowning joke. In the spirit of the fun of the day. Sydney Swan star Adam Goodes has closure from booing controversy. Eddie McGuire on the Millionaire Hot Seat set. Banham, an academic and former journalist who had both legs amputated after a plane crash in Indonesia in 2007, appeared to struggle slightly as she tossed the coin while holding her walking stick. I think we should introduce a $5,000 fine to anybody who's tossing the coin and can't do it properly, McGuire said during Fox Footy's broadcast. Every week, we have someone dropping it on their foot. Come on, toss it up properly, for goodness sake. Practice in the week, you know you're going to do it. It can't be that hard, can it, guys? Peter Campbell, the head of Fox Sports, said the broadcaster was disappointed with McGuire's comments. Following comments Eddie McGuire made about coin tossing during last night's coverage of the Sydney v Adelaide game, Eddie has requested not to call today's game. Campbell said, "We support this decision. We are disappointed with the comments made and we deeply apologise to Cynthia, her family and the Sydney Football Club." McGuire's decision comes as Sydney chairman Andrew Pridham called for the AFL to take action against McGuire for his comments about Banham. I think the AFL has an obligation to show leadership in these matters. This all comes down to their vilification policies and how to deal with these things, Pridham said on Saturday. In the past we've seen where the AFL has been far too slow to respond to things and not have a great feeling for what the community is thinking. These are the situations where they need to show leadership, whatever form that may be. To do nothing, say nothing is highly inadequate, disability advocate Carly Findlay said McGuire's comments were damaging towards the disabled community. Australian disability activist Carly Findlay says McGuire's comments towards AFL team Sydney Swans ambassador and plane crash survivor Cynthia Banham are harmful, regardless of whether he knew she was disabled. Even if he didn't direct the comments towards her or didn't know that she was an amputee, his words are still damaging because they're still making a mockery of someone's ability, Ms. Findlay said. I mean, it's an example of casual ableism and the entitlement that people feel to mock or ridicule someone if they aren't doing it in a white, able man's way. There isn't any recognition that people do things differently based on their bodies. I think we should introduce a $5,000 fine to anybody who's tossing the coin and can't do it properly, McGuire said during Fox Footy's broadcast. Eddie McGuire goes down the Freeze MND slide during the Big Freeze 2 during the 2016 AFL Round 12 match between the Melbourne Demons and the Collingwood Magpies at the Melbourne Cricket Ground on June 13, 2016 in Melbourne, Australia. Every week, we have someone dropping it on their foot. Come on, toss it up properly, for goodness sake. Practice in the week, you know you're going to do it. It can't be that hard, can it, guys? Ms. Findlay said the incident was just one example of a larger culture of ableism within the AFL. I think that in the football world, this kind of ableism goes on too much. We hear these ableist words on the football field, she said. Darien trainer, Getty Image said Eddie McGuire is seen during an AFL media opportunity to announce the competing teams in next year's inaugural Women's National League at Melbourne Cricket Ground on June 15, 2016 in Melbourne, Australia. In 2017, Greater Western Sydney player Heath Shaw came under fire for calling an opposing player af.ing.ard during a game. The AFL's head of content Matt Pinkney also condemned McGuire's comments, calling him an ignorant disgrace. At halftime in the Fox Footy broadcast, McGuire issued an unreserved apology to Banham, claiming his comments were not directed at her. It had nothing to do with Cynthia Banham, who was the coin tosser tonight at the SCG and has a disability. McGuire said, "I just want to apologize if this was communicated in the wrong way. I did not mean to offend anyone, especially Cynthia, and I apologize unreservedly to her, her family and friends, Swans supporters and anybody watching tonight who took it that way. My apologies there." For that comment, Banham was invited to toss the coin for the game by the Sydney Swans, who published a statement early Saturday morning saying the club was incredibly disappointed by McGuire's inappropriate comments. The comments show not only a lack of empathy, but also ignorance, the club said in the statement. Cynthia Banham is a passionate Sydney Swans member, our number one ticket holder, and a courageous woman who is an inspiration to all of us at the club. Banham last year revealed that she survived the Garuda Indonesia accident only because she fell out of the burning aircraft, and nearly died anyway. "When you're in a wheelchair, you get treated differently. You just do," she said at the time. She last year released a book titled A Certain Light, a reflection on her recovery that she only felt ready to publish 11 years after the crash. McGuire has previously been forced to apologize for offensive comments made on air. This is not the first time McGuire has been criticized for offensive on-air comments. In 2017 he was accused of anti-Semitism for joking on his TV game show Millionaire Hot Seat that a contestant with a Jewish father would not have received much pocket money. In 2016 he said he would pay $50,000 to see AFL pundit Caroline Wilson stay under a pool of iced water and charge an extra $10,000 for everyone to stand around the outside and bomb her. In 2013 McGuire apologized for suggesting Aboriginal footballer Adam Goodes be used to promote the musical King Kong. A spokeswoman for the AFL said McGuire's comments did not reflect the organization's values, however, did not specify if any further action would be taken. Eddie McGuire last night reached out to Cynthia Banham, the Sydney Swans and the AFL to apologize unreservedly for his inappropriate on-air comments. He acknowledges his comments caused distress. The Age.